Yes.
We're live.
Okay, Senate Education Committee, in the afternoon. Second, first thing we're doing today is taking up the PCB bill, PCB and schools bill, and have some new language that we're going to look at. We're going to get walked through by legislative council. That's been great. Second, to make sure I can get it up on. Got it over files. Sure, I can get here. Okay. So when I was in the last, and this is my grading with such council, when I was in the last time, the committee had a pretty good discussion about what you wanted to see in a redraft of the bill. You did not want to go with the House version that would have just stopped testing. You did not want to go with A&R's vision that would have tied testing to the master planning process and would have taken away the deadline for testing. You asked for the deadline for testing to be extended short term, midterm to look for funding, and Senator Ron Hinsdale said that she was potentially going to look for some sources, and then to look for a way to prioritize PCB testing, investigation, remediation as part of school construction. That's what's in front of you. The big caveat is there's no money, right? Because there was none in the governor's budget, passed out of Senate probes yesterday with none in it, which is almost a guarantee that it won't have any in it in the end. The yield bill passed out, plus the appropriations bill passed out. So you're likely not changing anything in the ed fund either. And the environmental contingency fund doesn't have enough money in it to cover this and to cover all of what else it needs to cover. So the midterm here might just be kind of an empty shell until maybe next year budget adjustment or next year's appropriation process. And then I have been told that some of the powers that be don't like the long term. So I guess we'll talk about that. That's what do you mean by that? Don't part well, having PCB investigation, remediation, mitigation be prioritized as part of school construction. Why don't prioritize, or we could potentially include it? It's potentially both. Why don't we wait to have that discussion until we get to that section? So you should have in front of you a draft 3.1 with a 4/22 date and 11/16 a.m. timestamp. The first section, line 21 on the first page, pushes out the deadline for all public schools and improved and recognized schools that were constructed or renovated before 1980 to do that PCB testing, pushes that deadline out to August 1st, 2033. So remind me where that date came from. That was the date that you all were like bouncing back and forth. Okay, so it's trying to place it somewhere in the timeline of Act 73. Got that. As it moves. And the August date is to push that date past the summer. So that gives A&R an extra season when students aren't in school to finish up the testing. So section 2, this is basically what A&R proposed to you as a fund in which monies can be deposited to pay for grants for investigation, remediation, and mitigation. You'll see that it would include the reimbursement from any litigation, would include any recovery by the state. It would include monies appropriated to the fund by the General Assembly from time to time. And then A&R would administer programs, issue grants to school districts to pay the costs to the extent funds are available. In this following priority, PCB investigations that are part of the facilities master plan, development of a PCB management plan, the cost of mitigation, and results in strategically that about the cost of implementing any improvement corrective action plan, cost of implementing a corrective action as part of school construction, cost of investigation taken pursuant to basically I should probably just straight. And then that takes you to section 3.
So before we do that. So following activities, order the priority. So you can, in the fall order of priority.
Yes.
Okay. Start with master, part of master planning.
Yeah.
Actually, what's the difference between A and B?
Well, B is when you do your management for response, how you are going to respond effectively.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the first level of funding, to the extent there's funding, it's gonna go to A.
Right.
To the extent there's more funding, it'll go to B.
B.
Okay, all right.
And then
That's the question here.
Yeah.
So when schools were built, who paid to have schools built? Was it the state or was it the community that they bonded to build the schools?
I think most of them were in play.
Right, but who decided to want to build the school? Was it the state or was it the community and then the state just assisted in helping build the school?
But I don't think the state ever chose to build the school.
Okay. So then this,
I'm sorry, looks like our audio is weak. It just got reports from that, so we might need to go briefly reset.
Okay, all quiet for a minute, except.
Act 46, this was a state.